Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome to Total War Arena, a real-time strategy game developed by Creative Assembly focusing on multiplayer that I have been playing on and off for 2 years now. Recently, Creative Assembly teamed up with Wargaming, who are now publishing the title, and they reached out to me to sponsor a video on my YouTube channel. And considering that I've been playing the game for the last couple of years and it's kind of a combination of my favorite real-time strategy genre, combined with Wargaming's massive multiplayer online progression system, well, I couldn't say no. And in today's video, I'm going to let you know all of my experiences with the title over the last couple of years to see if it's worth giving a go. So without further ado, let's get started. So right off the bat, the key difference between Total War Arena and Creative Assembly's other legendary series of real-time strategy games is that it's completely focused on the multiplayer environment. And while the other titles focus on large-scale engagements, your success in Arena is far more dependent on your precision with the 3 units that you have at your disposal. The 3 units inside your squad are completely interchangeable, and there is a huge variety of different units in the game. There are archers, spears, pikes, swords, cavalry, artillery, and there are even dogs in the game. And sometimes you'll find that it's best to take all of one single unit to be able to focus on their strengths, whereas in other situations then you might want to be taking a variety of units to try and cover up weaknesses. The progression system in Arena will be immediately familiar with you if you have played any other of Wargaming's titles. There are 10 different tiers of units progressively getting stronger and stronger. And if, like me, you're a sucker for a good progression system, then it does feel really nice to grow from having legionnaires all the way up to the Imperial Guard, for example. But one thing that's interesting about Arena is there isn't just a tech tree for the units, also all of the commanders in the game. For example, here Julius Caesar has an ability tree, which allows you to fine-tune your commander's abilities to your playstyle, but I guess in the end you're going to have everything unlocked anyway. Now, Arena is based around 3 factions. You've got the Roman Empire, then you've got the Greeks, and you've also got the Barbarians. And it's the variety within the factions of all the different commanders that is so impressive to me, and the fact that they are all real ancient commanders. And the history behind them is absolutely fantastic. One of the things that really got me into World of Tanks was the fact that the tanks, at least some of them, especially at the beginning, were real. And after playing Total War Arena, I have to admit, I've been buffing up a little bit on my history. So now I'm going to walk you through all of the different commanders available in Total War Arena. Firstly, Germanicus of the Roman Empire. Germanicus has some absolutely brutal melee infantry. He specializes with swords, and he's got an ability called Vengeance, which pretty much just means he's going to win any melee engagement. I'd pick Germanicus if you like heavily armored melee infantry who are very versatile as well. Next up is Julius Caesar, and he specializes with artillery in Arena. And artillery works, yeah, pretty much as you would expect when a whole unit of guys gets hit by a giant boulder. Julius's commander abilities are the aptly named Veni, Vidi, and Vici. Veni buffs both his own and his allies' combat capacity in an area around him. Vidi improves his movement speed and also makes his artillery much better. And then Vici is actually an interesting silence effect which prevents enemy commanders from issuing abilities. Caesar is well suited to those who like to sit at the back of the map and issue commands to the front lines. And while his abilities do have long cooldowns, they can be game-changing. Next up is the infamous Sulla of the Roman Empire, and his units are very well suited to defensive play. And Sulla's a bit of a nasty guy by the looks of it, because one of his abilities called Whip reduces his own units' morale, but buffs their movement, their weapon penetration, and also their melee attack. Sulla will be great for those of you who want to use those heavy Roman legionnaires, but don't want to be too offensive like Germanicus. And as all of his abilities have very short cooldowns, he's great for the reactionary player who doesn't want to be caught napping. Next up is Scipio Africanus, an offensive member of the Roman Empire. He has strong charge abilities. He's also got an ability called Warcry, which reduces the morale and the combat capacity of your opponents. And his forces are also willing to take an oath of perseverance that they will fight through any situation until death, although they do become uncontrollable. Early on in the game, Skippy can feel a little bit lackluster, and that's because his true speciality lies in the form of cavalry. But bear with it, because when you finally get there, he can pull off some magic. And of course, Skippy is going to be great in the hands of somebody who wants to play the Romans, but wants to play the aggressive flanking role. Next up, let's take a look at the Greeks, and starting with Miltiades. Miltiades is an aggressive melee specialist, and he's as dangerous in combat as his skirt is short, and yeah, that's quite some thighs he's packing there. In addition to his infantry charge ability, he's got something called Break Ranks, which sacrifices defensive capabilities to improve his movement speed and his melee attack, and so he's an exceptionally fast melee combatant as well. And if you use this mobility advantage to catch your opponents with fear, which further decreases their mobility, their melee defense, and their morale, then he can be absolutely devastating. However, if cavalry is more your thing and you still want to play a Greek commander, then look no further than Alexander the Great. Alexander has two wonderful abilities that you can use in conjunction with each other. The first is called Anvil, which will lock an enemy unit in place, preventing them from moving. Next, you want to use an ability called Hammer, which will allow your cavalry to lower their spears and just completely eradicate enemy units. It is immensely satisfying. And it's why I highlighted earlier that sometimes it's not best to just take all of one single unit. Next up is a Spartan king of the Greek Empire that almost needs no introduction. It is Leonidas. And just like in the popular film The 300, what makes Leonidas special is that he has a shield slam ability. And when you use it, you just absolutely break up the enemy lines and you create a lot of dead Romans. There we go, look at that impact of the shield slam. Spartans also do exceptionally well when they're outnumbered at just holding back a superior number of enemy forces, which can allow your team to conquer in other areas of the map. Pick Leonidas if you want to do everything that you can to hold the line for your team. And if you can keep him out of the harm's way of ranged units, he is very durable indeed. Next up, the first female commander on this list, it is Kanani, and she is a range specialist. Her archers can blot out the sun, I guess so to say. And if you manage to get melee infantry or just ranged units that aren't prepared for you at good distances, then you can really soften up your opponents or even take them outright. Kanani will be suited to somebody who wants to play that short to mid support role, who maybe just isn't interested in setting up artillery and being exceptionally vulnerable with low mobility. Now we're moving on to our final faction, it's the barbarians, and first up it is Vercingetorix. Vercingetorix is my go-to guy when you just absolutely want to have some furious melee combat, especially in woods, and that's because he is medium infantry, and so his units will specialize at combat inside wooded areas, where other units that are maybe using gigantic shields and have got really heavy armor are going to be less mobile. And so getting a whole barbarian horde to charge into Roman lines and then just annihilating their morale, oh, this is absolutely disgusting what's going on in the destruction of these guys. It's just oh so rewarding. Vercingetorix even has an ability which sets fire to the ground, which can stop enemies from camping in a location, or alternatively maybe they're all just blobbed up and you want to cook them to some grisly demise. And while Scorched Earth is undoubtedly an incredible ability, I think my favorite has to be Defiance, which when activated prevents soldiers that would have died from dying until the end of the duration. And for me personally, that's pretty cool. The idea of some crazy berserker who's taken some fatal blow but fights on to kill the last Roman makes this my kind of game. Next up is another female commander on our list. It is Boudicca, and her speciality, a lot like Vercingetorix, is wooded combat, but also you might be noticing that she has some hounds following her, and that is her key customization in a way, that she can have fantastic dog handling units and eventually wolf handlers. And being able to send in wave after wave of dogs into your opponents to slow them down, be able to get away from them, just makes her absolutely fantastic for harassing, and the charge bonus that these dogs get is absolutely voracious. This makes Boudicca a specialist commander. She's excellent for taking out missile units or taking out siege weapons, and she can even use scout as well to be able to increase her view range by 20%, which makes her awesome in a utility role for the team. And I have to admit, I was personally leaving my favorite commander till last. This is Arminius of the Barbarians, and he has cavalry right from the get-go at tier 1. And so if you just want to start out this game and you want to have some mobile units that are absolutely fantastic for harassing ranged units or just ill-prepared enemies, then I totally recommend checking out Arminius. And yeah, talking about ill-prepared enemies, oh, these archers, oh buddy, you are in the wrong place. Let's just take a look to see what this charge is going to look like. Oh, smush. Okay, well, there goes half of one of his units in the first minute of the game. Arminius is also the master of mobility with his momentum buff, which increases his turn speed, his movement speed, and it doesn't stop working until he stops moving. And so this means unless you're caught ill-prepared, it allows him to outflank everybody. And when you combine this with his frenzy ability, which sacrifices pretty much all of their melee defense to be able to increase their offensive capabilities massively, when you catch somebody ill-prepared, then he is immensely punishing. So now that you know all about the variety and the different commanders and the progression system, how about, you might be asking, how do you actually win a game of Arena? Well, it's you, 9 other players, 10 aside, 3 units each, so I guess 30 units in total on the battlefield. There's a big bar at the top that's basically the hit points that everybody has left, and if you annihilate the enemy, then you win, and also you can cap their base. The red flag will be the enemy's base, the blue flag will be your base. You definitely want to try and defend your base in this game, and it's really as simple as that. There's so much intricate detail with regards to real-time strategy. I really can't go into that here. But one thing I will say is, as a veteran of the Total War games, that this is the most fun I've had in a Total War multiplayer experience. And so if you like the look of what you see, I've got some good news, but also some bad news. Let's get the bad news out the way first, and that is that this game is currently in closed beta. But the good news is the game is completely free to play, and so when it comes out of closed beta, then you're going to be able to play it as much as you want without paying a penny. Unless, of course, you want to be able to accelerate your progress with things like a premium account. But now for the great news, and that is that Total War Arena is currently having an open week where everybody can play and try it out. And so if you want to give it a go, then I will put a link through to the registration page in the description and also in the comments. And Wargaming also gave me a little bit of a sweetener that I can give you, and that is that I've got my own invite code, which is QuickyBaby Streaming 3, which will give the first 5,000 people who register their accounts access to some premium time and some gold. And what's more is that everybody who plays a game during the open week will have closed beta access after it ends. And in addition to this, everybody who participates in the open week gets 3 premium units assigned to their account that they'll get to keep afterwards. There's a tier 4 auxiliary cavalry for the Romans, a tier 4 bloodsworn barbarian sword unit, and there's even a tier 4 Telesias Argives, which is a Greek spear unit. And so hopefully there should be a little bit of everything there for everyone. And so ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down and let me know in the comments why. And also, if you want to see more Total War Arena content on this channel, then let me know what kind of videos you would all like to see in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.